This episode fueled by Mudwater. Follow the link in the description to get a crazy deal on your first order of mud. My name is Michael. I've been absolutely fascinated by tabletop role-playing games for the better part of my life, and I don't play first edition Pathfinder anymore because every session feels like 4 straight hours of algebra homework. Welcome to Roll With Me. Shortly after beginning my first foray into running a Monster of the Week campaign, I ran into a slight impasse with one of my players, and it wasn't because either of us was doing anything wrong per se. It was just a difference in how we approached the concept of magic. So my player's concept was actually very cool. He was going to play Merlin, the actual Merlin, the great and powerful sorcerer of old, and I thought that was super cool. He disappeared for hundreds of years and would come back for a few years at a time to enjoy the pleasures of the modern world, whatever time that may be. Existed sort of in and out of reality and had made this deal with a higher authority that sort of networked across the world, surveying the magical anomalies happening in the real world, and made a deal with him that he was to give up some of his power to explore the world, so that there wasn't like a deity level person just kind of freely walking the streets. And I thought that was such a rad concept until we started playing. You see, just about every time we got in any kind of situation where any kind of combat was happening, or somebody needed to be spoken to, or a mystery needed to be investigated, or any kind of action needed to be taken, Merlin had a spell for it. Because, of course he would. He's Merlin, the great and powerful sorcerer. And it became very difficult to craft situations to accommodate a spellslinger in the party, because if you really think about it, how do you write a story that is engaging for everyone around the table when 4 out of 5 people are regular, everyday people with maybe a gun, or like some common sense, or I don't know, a real deep-seated belief in Bigfoot, and then one of them is just an all-powerful sorcerer with hundreds of years of wisdom and impossible magic, because magic can do anything? And so I spiraled into this sort of role-playing crisis where I had to ask myself, is there a place for magic in a game like Monster of the Week? Is it okay to take a literal wizard, a spellslinger, or a hex, or a spooky, or something, and put them into a party of everyday, regular people, and have that be okay? Is it still fun for everybody, or are spellslingers just broken as shit? I don't know. Well, I didn't. And then I thought about it for a little bit, and I figured a few things out. And of course, there is a place for magic in Monster of the Week. It's in the book. Michael Sands wrote it that way. Yes, there is magic in Monster of the Week, and it can be done very well and very successfully if you think critically and approach it from the right sort of direction. So, right off the bat, let's just see what the book has to say about using magic. When you use magic, say what you're trying to achieve and how you do the spell, then roll plus weird. If you get a 10+, the magic works without issues. Choose your effect. On a 7 to 9, it works imperfectly. Choose your effect and a glitch. The keeper will decide what effect the glitch has. On a miss, you lose control of the magic. This never ends well. By default, the magic has one of the effects listed below, lasts for around 30 minutes, and does not expose you to danger, unwanted attention, or side effects. If there's a glitch, that might change. Okay, so that is not helpful in any way, really. Okay, Michael. Let's get into it. So if we are playing a hunter that uses a playbook that allows the use of magic, then we can attempt to use magic rolls to do just about anything that a normal person can't do. The official list of what you can do from the first official book of Monster of the Week goes like this. You can use magic to inflict harm. 1 harm, ignore armor, magic, obvious. Enchant a weapon. It gets +1 harm and +1 magic. Now that's gonna be the part where it lasts for 30 minutes. Do one thing that is beyond human limitations. Just anything. Okay? Bar a place or portal to a specific person or type of creature. Very useful. Probably another one of those things that'll last for 30 minutes. Banish a spirit or curse from a person, object, or place that it inhabits. Okay, you probably want that to last for more than 30 minutes. This is getting muddy already. Okay. Summon a monster into the world. Great, does that last for 30 minutes? Oh boy, okay. Communicate with something that you do not share a language with. Yeah, I can see that lasting for 30 minutes. Observe another place or time. Okay, and heal 1 harm from an injury, cure, disease, or neutralize a poison. Again, you probably want that to last longer than 30 minutes. Okay, let's talk. So if we take all of this literally, then the spell slinger or the hex or the spooky or other magic users become extremely broken. It means that you can ostensibly spam use magic rolls instead of kick some ass rolls to inflict harm and avoid taking harm. You become essentially you're the ranger who can just spam magic arrows from the distance without coming to any harm ever. And that can be problematic. And if you can do something outside of any human limitation, then I suppose you could apply literally anything to that to justify using a use magic roll for literally anything in the game. So we need to put some limitations on our players and how they are allowed to use their own magic in the game. Obviously, we can't start a first-tier character off as an ancient sorcerer with all of the known magic in the world, even if he is a little weaker than he normally should be. It just doesn't make sense. We should be at a point, right, with our hunters where we are either learning magic or we have accomplished a little bit in magic when we're starting off, and we grow and we learn things and we get new moves within our playbook as we level up and advance our hunters. But magic needs to be approached very carefully and very specifically. So there are a few things to consider when we are building a hunter who is a magic user. Perhaps their magic is elemental and they can use, say, fire or ice or wind or water or earth or something. If they can throw a fireball at level 1, then they probably can't raise a giant earth wall, right? If they can heal a piece of harm, right, on a person, well, chances are they don't have the ability to, like, bring somebody back from the dead by themselves. They just can't be given unlimited power. And I think a really clever way to explore how magic works in the universe of your campaign is to look at magic in real life. So one of the things I really enjoyed doing for my players was researching obscure folklore and myths to find interesting creatures and monsters and mysteries that I could bring to them that they wouldn't instantly know, like, oh, it's a werewolf, or oh, it's just a vampire. I pulled a lot from Native American folklore, and then Norse mythology and Celtic mythology, and I dove deep into these textbooks and encyclopedias and books of folklore to find these interesting creatures to keep my players on their toes. Similarly, with magic, I have applied some of the esoteric spiritual principles of what people would consider real-life magic, right? Magic with a K. And if you haven't noticed from the spiritual tattoos on my hands or my reference to Helena Blavatsky, the mother of Western Theosophy, last week, I very much believe in real-life magic. I very much believe in the principles of esoteric spiritualism, and I have studied Theosophy and Wicca and pagan magic, and there are a few constants that ring through all cultures of magic, and so I've applied these to how magic is used in my Monster of the Week campaigns. All magic is derived from the source code of the universe, just like all life and all spirit. It is all drawn from the energies around us, right? The vibrations that everything gives off. We are all made of stardust, and that stardust carries energy. And we can call on this energy through study and practice to accomplish great things. People do it every day in manifestation and meditation and all sorts of crazy things like remote viewing and astral projection. These are things that people can do. These are observed things that we have seen and are accepted in a lot of circles to be very true and real. So we need to understand the source of magic and the cost of magic, because all magic comes at a price, and that price could be any number of things. It could be monetary, it could be component, it could be words, it could be any kind of cost. It could be physical health, energy. It could drain you. There's a reason, right, that in Dungeons and Dragons we have spell slots. And of course, the mechanical reason is so that we can't just spam Fireball all day. We can only cast it once or twice per day, but it's because it uses energy. It tires us. It's like swinging punches. You can't just beat a werewolf with a baseball bat for 7 hours straight and not get tired. Similarly, you can't just throw fireballs at a big old monster all day long and not lose any energy. So we need to apply the limitations on our players of what the cost of our magic is. Furthermore, our magic users cannot come equipped with every known spell in the book. It takes a lifetime to master some things. It takes a lifetime to master more than one spell. And so, yes, with Use Magic, we have a laundry list of things that we can do with our magic. That's just what's given to us. We can use magic to accomplish certain specific tasks. And no more. No more. We'll get into big magic in a second, but you can't just do magic for literally everything all the time and have that be okay. This is an accountability thing more than anything else. This is about communication and accountability. You talk to your players and you decide what their school of magic is. What kind of magic do they possess? They can't be an elemental wizard who also does divination and who also is a illusionist, who also uses crazy destruction magic, who also uses transfiguration magic, who also can do anything. It can't be like that. You pick a school of magic and you explore it and you learn new things in it, and then as you level up and you get new moves, you develop more spells. If you're a spell slinger, you add more things to your grimoire, right? You learn, you grow, just like everybody else, just like every other hunter who gets new moves and new things that they can do with every advancement. We are the same as magic users. It's not broken, I promise. We just gotta talk about it. The other massive principle that is so important to understand when talking about magic in a real-world setting is the word occult. It literally means hidden knowledge. I was gonna say forbidden knowledge, but it's because there's a book of forbidden knowledge, which is all about esoteric principles. Anyway, occultism is the study of hidden knowledge. And this is important because we need to consider what kind of world we're living in. In Monster of the Week, it is the hunter's duty to protect the world from the things that go bump in the night without letting the world know about the things that go bump in the night. And it's not a far jump from seeing somebody do magic in the street to believing in werewolves. Discretion is so important, and magic is not meant to be hidden, but it is not meant to be given to everyone. Those who seek to understand magic will seek to understand magic, and those who don't will know nothing about it, because that's the way these secret hermetic orders operate. The knowledge is free, but you have to put in the work for it, which means if you are a practitioner of this knowledge, of this esoteric wisdom, well then, you probably aren't going to be doing it in broad daylight in front of everybody, which means you need to be selective about when you use your magic. You can't just be blasting fireballs all willy-nilly in the street, because you're going to tip everybody off, and then that's the game. And I wish I had some like really clever mechanical, numerical ways to balance out magic in the game, but it's really something you gotta do kind of on the fly and with conversations and holding your players accountable and setting expectations in a level way for all of your players. So now let's talk about big magic. This is the real nitty-gritty of magic. Big magic is used to accomplish literally anything that a normal use magic roll can't do. Big things. Trying to contact a god, trying to summon an all-powerful demon, trying to banish a horde of vampires. Big stuff, world-ending stuff, and it needs some things. So when we're using big magic, we decide what the magical effect is going to be, and you tell the keeper. The keeper determines what you must do in order to cast the spell. And the options are, you need to spend a lot of time, days, or weeks, or months, researching the magic ritual. You need to experiment with the spell. There will be lots of failures before you get it right. You need some rare and weird ingredients and supplies. This could be a whole side arc to find the ingredients, right? The spell will take a long time to cast, like hours or days. And you need a lot of people, like 2 or 3 or 7 or 13 or 100. I don't know. The spell needs to be cast at a particular place and or time, like on a full moon on Halloween night, which won't happen for another 3 years. You need to use magic roll as part of the ritual, perhaps to do something that is involved in the use magic list, or it will have a specific side effect or danger. So, as the keeper, we get to choose what this is, what the requirements for this spell are. And depending on just how big this magic is, the more or less requirements there may be to cast it. Now this harkens back to the esoteric principle that all magic comes at a price. And so there is going to be some larger price than what we are paying for our use magic rolls to make this big magic happen. And I like that Michael Sands harkens to rituals, right? The idea that it's not just saying some words and casting a material component and waving your hand and you cast a spell. It's that it takes time and it takes research and dedication, much like conducting actual rituals in real esoteric spiritual circles. So our through line here is that we are trying to keep this as grounded and realistic as possible, even though we are talking about zany magic, the likes of which none of us have ever seen in real life. And I really think the way to do that is to apply the principles of real-life magic to it. So do a little bit of reading on esoteric magic. Read some Blavatsky, or read some Aleister Crowley, or go on Wikipedia and look up spiritual rituals or ritual magic, and look into the real-life applications of magic throughout history. And then take those principles and apply them to how you approach the concept of magic in your game with your players. And again, I wish I had some really clever mechanical way to sum all of this up so that you could just apply this little graph or table to your game and it would fix everything magically, but it's just not gonna be that way. It's just not gonna be that way. You just gotta talk, you just gotta communicate, and you gotta hold each other accountable, because again, Monster of the Week is not a game that is based on mechanics and numbers. It is a game that is based on situation and conversation and collaboration. So if you want to avoid massive headaches using magic in Monster of the Week, do a little research and talk to your players a little bit and get a feel for how you really want to field that magic in your game before you even start your campaign. This is something that Session 0 is great for. You just kind of settle how you're going to approach it, and you stick to it. And that's it. That's how to make magic not broken. You just unbreak it just by talking and figuring it out. The book doesn't help a ton, but, you know, talking does. Thank you so much for watching. As it turns out, my new pet mimic Flopsy can only feed off of YouTube engagement, so please like, subscribe, and head over to my channel for more content like this to keep Flopsy alive. Do it for Flopsy.